Hello, my wonderful friends. It's me again, and it's time for another story. It's from our friend Roku, so I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm interested, especially with a title like this. This is Memoirs of a Beer Magnet, The Night of Milady. Oh boy, here we go. I've written about some dark and bizarre experiences, so I feel like I owe everyone an actual funny story about conventions before I bring everybody down. I could tell about the convention vampire LARP that went to heck and destroyed friendships, or the time that the big-name classic sci-fi author guest of honor mistakenly thought I was one of the complimentary prostitutes until I ditched him into the hands of the real one. Whoa. But none of those have someone who, honest to goodness, uses the term Milady, like this one. Oh boy! With that, here we go. Conversations are like the headwaters of a Mountain Dew river, where all the nerds swim upstream to spawn. Sometimes they manage to meet someone real and special. Cons are also where the grossest, gnarliest, and even the smelliest neckbeard and or legbeard can get their annual freak on. I fully applaud these hookups if it makes both or all three people happy. I didn't go to this convention with a hookup in mind, but I didn't shut the door on the idea entirely, and I guess that vibe was vague enough to attract some, as they say, elements. Oh boy. The con was in my best friend's hometown, where we would save a bunch by sleeping at her parents' house. This spared us so much money, so we were able to put more into our costumes. For the costume competition, I had done an Arwen outfit from The Lord of the Rings. Seemed like a real hit, pointy ears and all. My long, nearly black hair, hazel green eyes, and pale skin not only owned that costume like a pro, but had the unintended side effect of attracting neckbeards like bears to an unsecured trash can in a campground. There were the usual science fiction, fantasy, gaming, anime fans, also the SCA, or Society for Created Anachronism people, there for the Helmet Bash, which was their local informal tournament for beating each other with wooden swords wrapped in padding and duct tape. Oh, is that what that's called? The Society recreate, in their words, the Middle Ages, but not as it was, but as it should have been. Cool. And when it's done well, it can be a lot of fun. They craft costumes, demonstrate medieval arts, teach about armor, build catapults, and are mostly friendly people. Too many of them think that the way to sound medieval is to speak with mangled English accents, and you will never ever hear the term Milady more than these people regularly spew it out. Oh boy. I was interested in the arts and sciences part of the SCA, so I struck up a conversation with a tall, not too bad looking guy who would only identify himself by his SCA name. Okay, fine, whatever. I didn't care much at that point. He talked about himself a lot. And when I say himself, I mean his SCA persona, as if his society accomplishments were real-world accomplishments, and that his connections to a certain real-world historical figure known as El Cid were also real. A while later, he came to me and asked for a token to wear in his upcoming sword fight, so I handed him some removable metal decoration I had on my belt. Little did I know that would give him the wrong idea that I wanted more of his company when this was over. He showed up in the small convention theater later to return the thing and sat down on the floor behind me because it was that kind of a casual movie viewing. Pretty soon, he slid forward with his legs on either side of mine and put his arms over my shoulders while interrupting frequently when something in the movie was just like El Cid, referring to me every so often as Milady. Oh! I tried to ignore this closeness because I thought he'd go away if I focused on the movie, but suddenly something happened that made me jump and give him the stink eye. While he was ruining the movie for me and talking too much, I felt the handle of his sword poking near my tailbone. Only I realized he wasn't carrying a sword. That was no weapon.
Oh my god!
He knew I had gotten up and just grinned sheepishly, covering his crotch with his hands, and said, "Sorry, you're just so beautiful, milady." Ew. Fucking gross, dude. Looking back, though, I prefer to think that it was not about his attraction or his lack of self-control, or if it was even about me at all. I sort of think that with all the non-stop obsessive talk about his hero, what he actually had was a historical fan Woody. What a fucking interesting grouping of words. So, I want to go into the comments section of this particular post, because there is actually some more going on here. Reddit user The Walkin' Dude says exactly what I was thinking. Okay, you're going to have to go into more detail about this complimentary prostitute. The convention actually got some famous author a prostitute as part of his perks. I've worked conventions that bend over backwards to keep their guests happy, but that's a new one. And Roku replies, she wasn't exactly a professional, but she had a habit of collecting famous authors, and had been in communication with this one before the convention, and her reputation preceded her. She was on the convention committee, and she referred to herself as the Heinleian woman, a hooker with a heart of gold. Classy. When I came up and introduced myself as part of the committee, he simply assumed that I was her. It was really awkward, but I think I handled it pretty well by escorting him to a party that was going on and visiting with him until she arrived. And then I introduced her and fucking left the party. You know, I've never been to any conventions. I've never really had, like, a desire to do that. But apparently, I am missing out on some absolute goldmine insanity. The closest I ever came to going to, I guess, what would be a convention would be when I go to the Renaissance Fair, which is also just magical in general, because you never really know who's going to do what, and there are quite a number of neckbeards who do show up, so that's always fun. I just never really thought about actually going to any conventions because, well, I'm not really that hugely into a lot of stuff, but I guess I could give it a shot. I know Sango, for a fact, enjoys going to different conventions and has, on more than one occasion, done the whole cosplay thing, and she looks fantastic, by the way. This is just me bragging about my wonderful fiance. So, anyway, no, but actually she does, and I've never been to one. I've been recommended several, but I still just haven't gone. So, I don't know. I often worry about what would happen if I go to these conventions, mainly because, I mean, I guess the one perk is nobody will actually know who I am until I start talking. Then some people might be able to recognize me. I'm not exactly the, you know, most anonymous voice in the internet, but the other part of that is I often wonder how weird it would be if I had to go to some sort of convention as someone who's supposed to be there. First off, my question would be, why the hell would you actually invite me? Because, I mean, you know what I do, right? So, but I have thought about it. I don't know where any of them are. I guess I'll have to look that up. And it sounds like you, Roku, get into all kind of interesting situations. Is this a normal thing for, like, conventions where just weird shit happens? Because I hear a lot of stories about them. And I don't know, I'm going to ask you guys, if you have your own convention horror stories, there might be a subreddit for that, but fuck that, let's also do this on my subreddit. I encourage crazy stories. If you are the kind of person who goes to different cons and have your own horror stories, feel free to share them. The closest thing I've ever had when it comes to understanding like an actual horror story about a convention was the entire story of Rainforest, which, honestly, the Internet Historian tells a better version of that, so you should look that up. It definitely seems like the kind of pure anarchy that I probably would have thought was absolutely hilarious, even if I was there, but I don't, again, go to conventions. And just, there's no telling, is there? So please, if you do have your own story, send it in. But also, this is the end of this video, so thank you all for being here. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It does something. I don't know. YouTube. Also, if you'd like to support this channel so I can keep doing this, I have a Ko-Fi and I have a merch store. So you can buy your own wonderful t-shirts. I have an Ode to Neckbeard fake perfume t-shirt that you can get on there now too. I think it's fantastic. And, you know, the Ko-Fi is, we're going to put more insane goals on there, so if you donate to that, it will definitely create, I have no idea, whatever the hell madness I've decided to add to it this time. I've already reached one goal, and I won't spoil what that is. You have to watch the streams for that. So, it ought to be interesting. And again, subreddit, r/Moonhorse Stories. If you have a story you'd like to share with me, send it there. I will see it. I love you all so very, very much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everybody.